Yes, 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 you are at the right place. Let's rate the engine room, the midfielders for Real Madrid in the 2019-2020 La Liga season. Welcome back to El Merengue Culé. I hope you're having a fantastic day. If you haven't watched the defenders ratings for this season that just ended, please make sure you go watch that video first. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get started with the midfielders. And in the first one we're going to be talking about today is James Rodrguez. Now, this guy, James Rodrguez, used to be one of my favorite players. You know, I had big dreams for him, but unfortunately, it just didn't come true. He didn't have the best of times at Real Madrid, and neither did he have a good season, and for that reason, I have to give him a rating of 3 out of 10. Now, why? Well, not only for the fact that he barely played any games this season, but it was his lack of attitude. You know, he would get benched, and rather than being like, you know what, I'm gonna work harder, it's probably my fault. No, he would go and basically create drama, you know, start talking to his family members to get information out, and basically talking crap about Zidane. And it's like, dude, look at yourself first. Look at what you can do before you can start talking crap about others. So his attitude, he just basically needs to rebuild himself. I think it's time that he leaves Real Madrid. Hopefully we can find a team for him. And he needs to go to a team that's kind of like of a lower caliber and start from the bottom. So, you know, I love the player, James Rodrguez. You're definitely still one of my favorite players, but Real Madrid just got a little too big for you, and I think it's time for you to see the exit. Moving on, we're going to be going to Lucas Vazquez. Now, Lucas Vazquez is another very loyal player for Real Madrid, has played with us for many years. However, I'm going to have to give him a rating of 4 out of 10. Yeah, he didn't have the best seasons either. Also plagued with injuries that he wasn't as used to before. And that in combination with the fact that his position, he normally plays right wing. But I'm putting him with the midfielders because he's also a right mid. And he kind of plays anywhere along that right side. And this season, actually, we got to see the majority of him on the right back spot. But overall, like, he was just kind of passive. You know, I really don't have many highlights for him, not many memories. If anything, the biggest memory that I have for him is whenever he played right back in basically one of our final games of La Liga. And he did a decent job. However, that second time he played right back against Leganés, I clearly remember Leganés just going down that right side just to, further expose that he's not a defender. And sure enough, both goals that they scored came from that right side. So overall, I can't be too harsh on him, but also he didn't really bring much to the team, and he did kind of get exposed. So yeah, that's why I'm just giving him a 4 out of 10. Moving on, we have Isco Alarcon. Now, Isco, he's been so good for us, you know, especially when we had the Champions winning streak where we won 3 Champions League in a row. But Isco this year has also just been on the decline. Not just this year, but the previous year. I guess, personally, I think he holds onto the ball too much. He receives it, and he doesn't process exactly what he wants to do fast enough. He is a great player with the ball at his feet. You know, he can dribble like no other player. He's a magician, but Isco is not at the disco anymore, and unfortunately, I'm going to have to leave him with a 4.5 rating. Honestly, I don't really even have that great of a memory of him this season, other than maybe a few good passes. The fact that as a center attacking mid, he only got 1 assist in a whole season just kind of goes on to show the fact that it wasn't his year. Now, this is where things start to look up a little bit, because we are going to move on to Luka Modric. Now, actually, I bashed on him a lot because of his last season, but then again, everyone had a terrible season last year with Real Madrid. However, he's 34 years old, and I didn't think he had the competitive edge to play at Real Madrid anymore. I thought he was just going to be a little too slow. Every time he played in every time he had to play defense, he was definitely exposed because he kind of lacks, like, you know, the physical attributes. And the combination of him, Casemiro, and Cruz, you know, that midfield that won us so many games, so many titles, just wasn't the same, you know. And I felt like it was him that was kind of bringing that downfall to it. However, I'm going to give Modric a 7.5 rating for this season. Why do I say that? He did look a little bit rough whenever we came back from the pandemic, especially because the games were so frequent, you know, every 3 days. But the moment he got a couple more days of rest, he came back and he was fresh as ever. You know, this guy, he can still pinpoint passes. His dribbling is still on point. He has the vision. He's a previous Ballon d'Oro winner, so we know he's got what it takes to keep playing at Real Madrid, at least for 1 more year. You know, I hope to see him more as a super sub player. Now, from here on out, we have our final 3 players, But before we move on to those players, I want to remind you to make sure you hit that like button down below if you're enjoying this video so far, and subscribe for more analysis here at El Merengue Culé. We are very excited for the Champions League and the future La Liga season, so you're not going to want to miss that with us. However, let's move on back into the next player, and that is Federico Valverde, the Uruguayan midfielder that really had his breakout season. This man is, 19, 20 years old, 21, something like that. He is extremely young, and guys, this guy, he brought so much happiness to us. He was like the workhorse of the team. You know, he's got those long legs, blistering pace. I think this season he was actually capped at the player that got the fastest sprint out of all players in La Liga. So I think it's his ability to play out of position. Like, there were so many times where he had to sacrifice himself, and you know, Zidane loves to change around the formations, and he still wanted him to play, but he basically told him, like, you have to sacrifice yourself and kind of play a little more like on the wing, on the right mid spot. And Fede Valverde was like, put me wherever you need me. And it's that mentality that really just brings it all together. Aside from the fact that he can break through lines because of his acceleration. He's got a great long distance shot, and he bagged up a good amount of assists this season. Overall, I think the best moment for him this year was not actually in La Liga, but it was in the Super Cup when Real Madrid was playing Atletico Madrid. It was the final minutes of the game, and if you guys watched that game, I know you know what I'm talking about. We were tied 0-0, about to go to penalties, and Morata gets a one-on-one with Thibaut Courtois. Fede Valverde catches up to him and just fouls him, takes him out, takes the red card, and takes one for the team. We move on to beat Atletico Madrid in penalties and win the trophy. So Fede Valverde, I think that play won all the hearts from Madridistas for you, and that's why I'm giving you an 8.5 rating for this season. Next up, we have Toni Kroos. Now, this man, he is, like I've said before, the pacemaker of the heart. He brings the rhythm. He knows when to slow down the game, when to pause. His long balls are just insane. His corners, his free kicks, he always knows exactly where to put the ball. And overall, I think he had another great year. He had 4 goals and 5 assists. And for a midfielder, that is just completely amazing. That is exactly everything we asked for, especially in a year like this where we had a lot of players, especially up top, that just weren't scoring goals aside of Karim Benzema. So his contribution in the offense just was humongous for us. And so the biggest memory that I have for him isn't actually a memory, but it's rather a memory of when he was not there. In that game that we played against Manchester City in the Champions League, Zinedine Zidane decided to bench him, and boy did we miss him. It wasn't until the second half where he came on that we really started to see the difference in the team. Every time this year when he wouldn't play, you could just tell that something was missing in that midfield. A little pause, you know, order, experience, leadership. So he just brings so many aspects to this team that are just completely necessary. So yes, for that reason, I'm giving Toni Kroos a 9 out of 10 rating this year. And finally, my last player, and probably one of my favorite players of this Real Madrid team, I'm sure you guessed it by now, our Brazilian center defensive mid, Casemiro. Now, this man, I honestly run out of words for how to describe him. He is just the anchor of the team. He knows exactly how to do his job to perfection. I'm going to be giving him, yes, a 10 out of 10 rating. He has just gone through a year where he played the most minutes he's ever played in his whole career. And I think he played like a little bit over 3,000 minutes. And not only is he a center defensive mid, but he's a center defensive mid that has flair. He has that Brazilian DNA where he can come up with little skill moves here and there, and he scores goals. Guys, I clearly remember him. It was like around January. We were playing Sevilla, I think, for the second time around. The game was very tough. It was very rigid. And Casemiro comes up with a huge play by himself, chips the goalie to give us the 1-0, and then gives us the lead once again in the final minutes for us to win that game against Sevilla 2-1. And just, I mean, Casemiro, what would we do without him? Not only that, but he can stay injury-free for so long. You know, knock on wood, let's make sure that continues. With that being said, guys, I want you to let me know down in the comments if you even remember Casemiro ever making a mistake. With that being said, guys, this brings this video to an end. Make sure you go watch my ratings for the Real Madrid defenders for this year, and stay on the lookout for the attackers video that should be coming out within a couple days. If you enjoyed this video, as always, make sure you hit that like button down below. Subscribe to stay up to date with all the analysis at El Merengue Culé. I hope you have a great day. I will see you next video, and a la Madrid.